Right, great stuff. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another talk at Crash Live 2025. Of course, you all know me by now from those various projects. But what about our guest with us today? Born in Romford in 1944, an alma mater of Portsmouth Polytechnic, where he obtained a BSc in electronics that he put to use in aviation and spacecraft before somehow ending up typing games into a ZX81. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Malcolm Evans. Now, before we get started with the questions and then hopefully some from yourselves at the end, Malcolm's got an announcement. He's not told any of us what it is, so Malcolm, if I'll hand over to you.
Well, I was going to say, sorry, that's better. Okay. I was going to mention that when I moved back to Bath, the doctors were worried about me, and so they contacted the heart surgeon who did my heart bypass 23 years ago, and he turned round and said, "Good God, is he still alive?" One of the problems was my heart was very erratic. It's been erratic for years now. But something happened 2 weeks ago that has changed the picture slightly. What actually happened is I was down in the New Forest at Brockenhurst, and I took 2 children of a friend to the station, and one I did about 12 o'clock, the next one I did about 3:30, and each time I came out of the car park, did a quite a short right left turn. The second time, however, the car just dropped forward, and I discovered I was on the railway line. Oh, wow. And there was a blinding flash and a bang, and the car the engine was on fire, and I managed to kick the door out, because I wasn't quite sure whether it was live or not, but I was told it probably was still then, and then fortunately someone came and helped me, because the only thing stopping people walking on the track from the road was some wooden slats at an angle to stop people basically walking on it, so it was difficult to do. So I had difficulty walking off. And at that point they helped me off the line, and there was a signal box there. The window opened, and the signalman said, "Are you all right?" or shouted, "Are you all right?" And I gave him a thumbs up, which was relief to him, because I'm not quite sure who managed to do it, whether I managed to short out the main, with 750 volts DC on it was, which is lethal, or he would actually stop the train, but there was a train due in only a minute, and so then I went to the paramedics and had to persuade them that there was nothing wrong with my heart, because it was all erratic.
It's always been like that.
It's always been like that, and they didn't believe me, but never mind. Anyway, so we were joking about my heart, and a policewoman came in and said, "I don't know why you was laughing, you nearly killed yourself." or you died. And the guy said, for the second time, sorry. Is that better? Sorry about that. So anyway, that was somewhat of a shock, and there was a lot on social media there, and in fact, within about 30 seconds when you get out of the car blew up.
Wow.
And the fire brigade were there, of course, trying to put it out. Well, they didn't bother to try and put it out because they couldn't. All the back windows were blown out when eventually the petrol tank went up as well. So it was somewhat of a shock, as you can imagine. And I now have no car, of course. Unfortunately, my son has brought me here, and so that's why I'm a bit shaky at the moment, you can imagine. But I am here. Okay.
Well, luckily, rumours of your death have been greatly exaggerated. So,
yeah,
you are still here, so
yeah.
let's make use of the time.
I'll try and answer the questions, but my memory's beginning
Yeah.
to go. I'm 81 now, so okay.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Right. Okay,
So
fine.
we can go back to, like I said at the start, you got a bachelor's in science, electronics. Sorry,
Yeah.
a BSc. What triggered your initial interest as a young child, as a teenager in that field?
That's not the sort of question I was expecting.
Okay.
Well, it was, I read a lot about astronomy and things like that, and so I wanted to go into the spacecraft industry, and that's where I started, and I was with GCAEI, and I worked on, I don't know whether anyone remembers, Black Arrow, as the first all British launcher, and I designed the satellite on that. I was responsible for the final stage of the design and the testing of it. I didn't actually go to the launch because I was working on a second satellite after that. But I did actually. There was two of us that didn't go, and we were given permission to see if we could get the signals from it. So my colleague had actually built an aerial. It was 8 foot long helical thing, and he was up on the roof of the factory on a swivel chair with the one stick in his stomach, pointing it out, and he had an AVO on his lap so he could look at the signal strength and just follow the craft as it went over, because it was only about 10 minutes long. And I was down with the test equipment, trying to pick up the signal. I don't know whether you know the story of that satellite. What actually happened was that the third stage was a solid fuel thing, and it actually fired again because it was, it did a poof like that, came up and hit the satellite, knocking one of the aerials off. So when it was rotating slowly, so it was going, instead of going shh like that, it was going shh, shh, shh. And I managed to tweak it so I could actually get the signal. We got all the parameters off. Then we rang Farnborough and found that they hadn't managed to get any signals off it at all. So we sent all the data that we had, pointing out that the satellite was perfectly all right. And so we were somewhat delighted by this. I then worked on lots of other satellites with one with Bristol University doing cosmic rays, and there was a whole series of them I worked on. And
so you spent time at Marconi, and you spent time at Smith's Aviation. Some of the logos and posters up behind us. But this era, while you were working in this industry, just sort of computer age was sort of coming upon us, and you were beginning to use computers in industry. Can you tell us about those early days of that?
Yes, because it was interesting. The reason we were able to do the Black Arrow, Crossroad it was called, that satellite, was there was low power electronics chips came out, so we could, that's about the first time you could actually design anything, and because we only had about 1 watt to do the whole of the data handling of the thing, but as things progressed, of course, you got more and more power available to us. But as integration came in, then we could actually do more and more. And all the university seems to want is throwing up more and more data down through it. So until they got to the point where they were actually demanding more than we could actually achieve, but never mind.
So you're mixing on working on a mix of hardware, new hardware, and software. Were you writing programs for testing and things like that at the time?
No, I wasn't, because I was so much involved in the hardware side of it. So, of course, I was experienced in it, but the powers that be said, no, you're hardware, you can't do software.
Right.
So that's basically why my wife actually bought me a ZX81 for Christmas, and that's when I first wrote the first game.
Yeah.
Right, and so I had 6 years in games, and then went back to spacecraft after that.
Yeah. So you'd working on a mix of the Zilog Z80, the 8088. Did you have a personal preference? Was it?
No, I was on the ZX80 virtual all the time. We had other programmers later on who then did conversions for us, but I did the Z80 versions first.
Right.
And they did conversions, or we. Because my brother came and joined me, my twin brother, and he had the accountancy background and everything else, so he was doing that.
There's a funny quote attributed to you about your brother. He arrived 45 minutes before you, and you spent most of your life trying to catch him up. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, that is true. Yes. I can't remember saying that, but that is actually true.
Well, the internet says you did, so
yeah, no, I did say that to someone.
The internet also says you spent time as...
Couldn't read that, but everything.
It says you spent time as a microprocessor scientist. What does a microprocessor scientist do?
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you what I did in... I don't know what that means, but I did actually do research on digital engine controllers for Smith Industries. And I did the research there, and I did designed a chip, because at the time you could only get 8-bit A to D converters. I don't know whether you understand that. So I actually designed a chip that would actually convert analog to the digital to about 12 bits at that time, and it also included all the filtering you needed on an analog signal that was coming in. So it cut down a lot of work that you did, because you did all the signal processing and then transmitted it in just a single variable width signal. And in fact, sorry.
I feel like I keep shouting at you.
And in fact, that came in useful actually later on. I think it was Jonah Barrington Squash with the sound. With the sound, because to actually do that, what I actually did was to build one of these chips out of discrete stuff, so I could then convert the analog signal from a microphone into a variable width, measure it on the on the computer, the Spectrum actually was, then store that, and then so it actually came out with sound. And I know a lot of people weren't so happy with it. I'll tell you what actually went wrong is I did give the idea of the sound of me talking to the reporters and things like that from magazines, and that was perfect. The trouble is that when I came to put it onto the game, I only had a weekend to do it. One of the things, I don't know whether you knew about GOSH, the Guild of Software Houses. Mm-hmm. One of the rules we had then was that if you made a date, you kept to it. Right? And I'd actually only left.
Sorry.
I only left a weekend to do it because I thought it was going to be a piece of cake. And by the end of the week, I'd actually done it, but there was something wrong, and I couldn't put my hand on it, and it had to go out. And my brother said, "Oh, we'll remaster it later on," which never happened, of course. And what the problem was is that it was the attack on the words that were wrong, because what I should have done is put a square wave in front so it ends up in the middle, and then play around with the sound. In fact, I just put it straight in. You saw it. Yeah, that was a big mistake, but that was the reason it wasn't quite right. I wish we had redone it for that. But
so you mentioned earlier the ZX81. There it is in all its glory, and it was a present your wife bought you. So tell us about getting to grips with the computer. How did it compare with what was in the industry, what you've been used to?
I hadn't really done much on any computers at the time. I'd no involvement in because we were only the discrete software was only running for hardware. Was only running at 1 meg, which the instruction rate for that I think was about 1 meg, so I was learning how to use it from scratch. In fact, the first bit of software I wrote was the algorithm to do the maze. And then I thought, I wonder what it looked like if you did in 3D. And so that's why I did that, and then ended up, might as well put a monster in there. And
there it is.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. The problem with that is that perhaps I had thoughts about my later life, because I was testing it, and I was going down the thing, and it said no, it suddenly went like that, and it was there, and I jumped out of my skin.
As a lot of people did.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So that's when I started putting things in there, and you know the caption at the front, yeah, and it actually says those of a nervous disposition or something, isn't it? Something. Yeah. That's the reason I put it in there, because I was worried that I might get made responsible for it. It wasn't actually necessarily a joke.
Yeah. So you went straight in at the deep end, obviously making a 3D game.
Yeah.
I mean, was 2D not taxing enough? I mean, why?
No.
Why go up to that level straight away?
Well, I was ignorant of what games were, because I never played any games before.
Okay.
And it was more, I was trying to learn to program, trying to push the ZX81 as far as I could.
Yeah, there's a quote from you says, just to see what the ZX81 could do.
Yeah. And I think I was going to say that I felt when the Spectrum came out, it was a step backwards in its capability, simply because you didn't have the opportunity to screen switch. So on the ZX81 you could build up the picture on the screen and then switch it over. So you could do, like in 3D Defender, you could actually go and things like that, which you couldn't do on the Spectrum, unless you played around with the colour, which was more coarse again, and therefore, that's why I was with not in 3D and things like that. I was playing around with trying to get fast switching, using that then. Okay, combining the two. Yeah.
So you were working, I guess, still full time at this point. This was a hobby project, was it? This your spare time? How long did it take you to write 3D Monster Maze? No.
No, 3D I'd written 3D Monster Maze, and then I was working with Sperry Gyroscope, I think it was at the time, and they closed the place down, and I was redundant.
Oh, okay.
So I made the
was that
jump.
in Bath? Was it Bath, Bristol?
Bristol, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I had the last 5 or 6 jobs, I think it was, I was on, even after I got back to New Generation was the second one that folded underneath me, and the subsequent 3 did as well. So that's the wrong time to be in the space industry.
Yeah,
I was.
So at some point you moved on and you made a move that initially sounds ridiculous. You've gone from aviation and space flight to making computer games. But I mean, obviously it worked out, and it was almost forced upon you, to a degree.
Yeah. Well, the first order we got from W.H. Smith was, I think, 10,000 for each of the games, and it was. Did some that the profit from that was more than I'd earned during my whole career up to that point. So I decided I'd take a chance on that.
So this was, I believe, under your own company that was New Generation Software, is that right?
No, the first 2 were with John Gray.
Okay.
We started the company up together, and then I think I did, was it...
3D Defender was under New Generation.
No, that was first under John Gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says New Generation on there, but okay.
Yeah. You don't believe everything.
No, I don't.
Yeah, and the other one was, what was the one with the... Breakout. There's a Breakout, wasn't there? Sort of, I forgot what it was called now.
You did 3D Tunnel, not in 3D Escape?
No. The one was only for 1K.
You did was it just got? I've got your credits here. Let's have a look. 3D Defender. It was just called Breakout.
Yeah. Okay. That was a Breakout.
Yeah.
And it was in 1K.
On the ZX81. Yeah.
And when I spoke to, I was speaking to John Rowlands of Smiths, And he said, well, you can't do anything much in 1K. And I said, well, I've got a breakout that works full screen in 1K. He said, what? Because I'd written that. It wasn't quite 1K, it was about 1.1K or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I then said, I'll send you a copy of it. And I then spent a weekend cutting 100 bytes out of the thing, and actually using characters that were actually on the startup screen, and one of the useful ones was an asterisk, which is 42, by the way, if you didn't know. Yeah, but because I ended up writing a book, and in there I commented on something and said that the answer to the universe and everything is 42, simply because it's an asterisk, and it means anything.
Right. Yeah.
And then I went onto the web, and there was a whole list at the time of forgotten the authors. Anyway, about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and all the loads of ideas, that reasons for why 42 was the answer. And I just wrote to them and said, read my footnote in this book, you see, hoping that you. And they said, do you know whether this is right? I said, well, it's only the right answer, isn't it? And then the whole of the thought disappeared off the internet, where I thought, perhaps someone's worked it out, it is the only answer. But anyway, that's beside the point.
Yeah. So like most people, you moved on then to the ZX Spectrum, and you said earlier in some ways it was a step backward, but there's some of the games that you did there, 3D Tunnel, Not in 3D, and Escape. So was it really? Did you really think it was a step backwards? Were you not using much more power in the Spectrum?
Yeah, you were divorced more from the screen, so you weren't writing directly to the screen that way. And of course, the pixels, though they were smaller, you had to define them all and everything else. So it was ideal with small things. That's why I tried to do a 3D Monster Maze, but realised that it was going to be difficult. So that's why I ended up doing Escape, just to try that out, see what I could do. And that was an early one, and I took that to Smith's, and and John wrote and said, yeah, it's all right, it's not what we were expecting. And
you peaked too soon.
Yeah, he said, we'll take 500. So I said, all right, I'm going to duplicators anyway, and we'll sort that out. By the time I got to the duplicators, he said, they'd had a message from Tom Rowan. He said he wanted 1,000, then 2,000. And while I was there, he said, he decided he wanted 500, because the guys who were playing it, and they realised there was a hell of a lot more in it than they originally thought. In fact, by the time I got home, I was ringing up the duplicators and said, oh, could you make that 10,000, please? So we were back up to, So a lot of my games have got hidden things in there.
Yeah. So speaking of hidden things,
I don't explain to you, the player, everything that's in there. I'll let you find it.
Let them find it. Yeah. So speaking of hidden things, sort of behind the scenes in the code, the technology you were using, was each one of your games sort of, were you learning more? Were you getting a little more clever with each one? Tell us about that sort of incremental process.
Well, I wanted to understand how to program, and there was one interesting comment that was made. Someone here has said it reminded me of it. When Amstrad wanted to do the Trashman, they said to me, could you give us a decode of the thing, or we can go from tape. We normally do. It's going from tape. And I said, like the all the flow charts and everything. And they said, what? So I actually gave them all the flow charts, and when they went to do it, they turned around after about a month and said, can't do it.
Right.
So we ended up getting a company in to do it, because I didn't have time. I had other things I was doing. I didn't want to do that sort of thing. And they, I wasn't actually happy with what they did with the Amstrad one, because it just didn't look right to me. But it was just basically that. So I was a bit disappointed with that version. The only conversion I actually did was over one Christmas. It was machine code tutor I wrote for the ZX81. No, for the Spectrum, sorry. I had the Christmas, and we had 2 days when the new generation, which was by then about 3 or 4 people, they had off. So I thought, I'll try and convert that for the Amstrad. And when it came back, I told Rod that I had one for the Amstrad. And so he said, I'll see what I can do then. And on the Monday, he went round the distributors and booths and everyone, and managed to sell 40,000.
Wow.
That was high. For 2 days' work, that was.
Wow.
The only time I...
Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but...
So you mentioned new generation software sort of expanding, and at some point your brother came on board as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Was he involved in the games at all? Was he on the business side and stayed
he
away
was,
from it?
He was primarily on the business side. He came up with some ideas, because he was always pushing me to, as soon as Trashman came in, he wanted me to do another Trashman. And that's why eventually I said, all right, then I'll do this Travels with Trashman. And when he presented that, I didn't actually go to the press launch for it, and he was there for it. And when I started reading the thing, I said to him, "What's this about a Trashman going into space?" And he said, "Oh, well, it's just an idea." And that's all it was, because I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah. So what was the relationship be like between the two of you? You've jokingly said in the past you were trying to catch him up, and I believe he passed the 11 plus, you failed, you went to different schools. Was it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was there a rivalry between you? Was it just friendly competition? What was the dynamic like?
No, it was very good actually, because he was in a different field to me. He's working in the bank, and I remember when it was announced on the news that Black Arrow had gone up and the satellite was working, and I remember him turning around to me and saying, "Carl, there's me working as an accountant. I said, there's no chance of me ever getting anything I do on the news."
Right. Yeah.
But in fact, it turned out his son became an accountant, and he did appear in New
Right,
Year,
okay.
'cause he went to number 10.
Right, okay. So there it is, Trashman, of course. Is that, do you think, the game most people associate with you? Is it 3D Monster Maze? Is this the big one that people always talk about?
It depends on how old they are, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's it depends actually. As I say, how old they are, and because ZX81 was right at the very beginning, whereas Trashman was okay.
Yeah.
Can't remember how long ago that was now, but.
Tell you. Trashman was 1984.
Oh, it's not that far. It's only about 2 years, isn't it? Yeah, I was working hard, wasn't I?
You were. Yeah. There's a funny story I found online about this game coming about following a discussion about rubbish and crap. Is that right?
Yes. Yes, what actually happened was I'd come out with one game, and I hadn't got an idea of what to do, I'd actually looked at one game from a company actually in Portsmouth, and I can't remember what it's called now, but they were talking about Beyond a Crapper, and I didn't actually play the game or anything, but it struck me as funny. I said, my brother turned around to me and said, I think what you ought to do is go to Lou, because you get your best ideas there.
Yeah.
And that's where Trashman came.
Yeah.
But it was, because it started with clearing up rubbish in space and things like that. But then I thought, no, let's try and get it closer to reality.
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, just maybe do that. So I just started the idea, and in fact, I just done the first draft of it basically, and our publicity company, the guy came for a meeting, and he wanted to see what we were doing next, and I said, I've got this, that we're going to do something with that. And by that time I actually had the background and moving someone around, and said he's going to go into the houses, and this guy said, do you know what, the one thing that I always feel that on games, anyone watching doesn't get any feel for what's happening. Said, why didn't you have captions on it like you did on Monster Maze? So that's where the captions come from.
Right.
The trouble is, I felt that anyone watching it was there and could laugh at the captions. But the actual player quite often wouldn't actually have time to read it. That was one of the problems, but we left it there and let it go and just see what happened. So that was. But I was talking to my son, and he was talking about how things seem to be predictable in games. One thing, the routine I had was a random, and he'd written in machine code, so I didn't, if Sinclair decided to move his random basic or something like that somewhere else, I didn't get input, didn't have any problems with it. And everything on there is basically random.
Right.
That's why things can happen at any time, and the bikes come down randomly and the cars come randomly, and even when the Trashman gets drunk, goes into the pub,
Yeah.
has a drink, he gets drunk, and in fact, I think it's about 1 in 3 steps is random.
Right. Okay.
So that's why he had
Yeah.
that. But one thing I've discovered, that Chris didn't realise, is that if he went behind a hedge or a wall, he's actually sick and he gets and he then gets sober again. Most of the times he tries to walk across the road, so he gets run over.
Staggers, yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the concept of Trashman. I think it was Nolan Bushnell said, some of the most popular and successful arcade games are about tidying things up, cleaning up the screen, shooting things, collecting things.
Yeah.
People love tidying up. In general.
No comment.
Yeah. So one of your next games was maybe not something that people would have expected from you. It was Jonah Barrington's, of course. So what made you dip from what you've been doing into a sports game? How did that come about?
My brother,
Okay.
he played badminton,
Right.
and he then suggested we get promotion just to see how it went. And he always wanted to meet Jonah Barrington, you see. And what actually happened is when doing the promotion, our publicity company lived in Bournemouth, I think it was, and they approached the local badminton club to see if they could do any shots there. And they said, "Oh no, we can't possibly do that." They said, and they turned around and said, "All right, we'll get Jonah Barrington to do it." And we're like, "Oh yeah, you can come and do it." And they were very keen on doing that. And all those shots were taken at their on their court down there. And I got another one where it shows Jonah Barrington smashing my brother over the head. Yeah.
So through all this time, this is an old picture of you. I'm not sure what era that is from, but
Yes.
how were you actually how were you actually writing these games? Were you using these less than desirable keyboards, shall we say? Were you inputting on another computer and transferring data across? How did you?
That is a Sharp. I was using a cross compiler from there.
Yeah.
Initially, I wrote on the ZX81, but found it was, printing out
Challenging.
challenging. So, I got a cross compiler on the Sharp, and downloaded it, the program to the thing. So if anything went wrong, I could, analyse the software to see what was going wrong, which is a very good way for understanding your software. Actually looking at it.
Yeah.
So most of my debugging was actually done by trying to diagnose the fault, not having a debugger in there,
Right.
and just looking at it, which teaches a lot. You understand what you're writing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes a long time.
and how were you backing up your work? How were you getting it to the publishers? Was it cassette? Was it disc? A mix of everything? Into
the publishers only after we had duplicated it did we actually we send out the copies, of course. Before that, we'd actually just send them your tape and things like that, just to get it to them, really.
Yeah. So I want to leave some time at the end of this for some audience questions. I imagine we'll have a few, but just before we get there, you said you left games after, I think it was 6 years, you said, and went back to industry. Why was that? You'd obviously had, I think you said you'd earned much more money doing this than you had before. Why did you go back?
It did go like that.
Yeah, okay.
And when the big boys came in, you had to, initially you could advertise for £50 or something like that. That's when we first started, and start selling. But then it cost, they expected you to at least have half a page and then a page, and that was costing £1,000 a year ago. So, and the distributors, what they wanted to know is not what the game was at all. What they wanted to know is how much you were spending on advertising.
Yeah, right.
That's all it was. And we weren't in that league basically of doing that. So what we actually did is to decide that we'd go into some other thing. And we actually, because I had a hardware guy come in, and we built a portable computer. This was in '85, something like that when we first did it, and it had we called it it's a low resolution touch screen on it as well.
Right, okay.
And it also had a printer in it. The whole thing, so you carry it around.
Yeah.
And this was initially designed for kitchen designers and bedroom designers, and we then had more marketing that. But basically, the funds that we had from that soaked up all that we had from new generation software itself.
So obviously,
And so we ended up, having to call the receivers in, unfortunately.
right, okay.
Mm.
So obviously,
It was fun.
when you left the Spectrum and that era was still going strong after that, and obviously we got the 16-bit era, 32-bit era. Were you never tempted at some point to think, oh, that looks interesting? I might just...
Well, we've gone quite a way into it, but by that time I decided that I'd try to go back into the industry, and went to BA and on spacecraft again. Fortunately, I discovered I had a reputation already in the spacecraft.
Right, a good one, I hope.
So did I. Because the guy who was interviewing me first said, we met at a meeting, didn't we, the first time? And I thought, oh God, what did I say? What did I say?
Yeah.
But yes, he was happy with what I'd done, and
Good.
so I was in the hardware then with them, and then I went on to the software, and actually employing my skills I'd learned in writing games
Yeah.
to the mainstream of software. Yeah.
Okay, we can take some questions from the audience.
Okay.
If you do have a question, please stick your hand up,
Don't make
and the
them too
microphone
difficult,
will come out
please.
to you. Don't be nervous. One, somebody must have one.
I don't bite. Oh, Tim, I do bite.
Someone asked me yesterday, where did I get the idea from to use a different computer to write the software on to send it to the machine? And I couldn't answer it because I didn't know where I decided. What made you decide to use the Sharp? I assume it was an MZ machine. What made you decide to use a different computer and how did you get it from that into the Spectrum? Do you remember?
Yes, the reason I got it is that it was based on the Z80
Right.
Crystal. So it was, the cross-compiler was relatively simple, and I could actually look at the code on that easily. Right? And I think I got there's a parallel port on the ZX80. Parallel port on the ZX80. On the Sharp. And on the there was one on the
Spectrum, was it?
the Spectrum. I think was there not one? On the ZX81. Was that picture showed the ZX81 with me?
Oh, we done past it.
No.
There, that one.
Yeah, it was a Sharp.
It doesn't show
what was
the back.
Looks like a
but-
Spectrum, doesn't it?
It's a Spectrum. Oh, yeah. No, it's all right. I just think what game that is.
It looks like Monster Maze, doesn't it? No, that's Trashman.
Oh, is it?
Oh, Trashman.
Yeah, it's Trashman.
See the
No, I
vehicle
just
on the
want.
road.
Okay.
Just,
I just wonder whether you built some hardware with your hardware expertise to hook it up. So.
No, I thought there. I did actually buy a parallel, a serial to parallel converter or something.
IO port of some kind, yeah.
From Kempston, was it? He had a parallel port or something, yeah. But I did actually do the sound using a bit of hardware I built for that.
Anyone else?
Yeah, another question. Yeah.
Andrew?
Were there any game ideas you had that you wanted to make but you never finished, you never put out?
Yes, you've heard about it, have you? Yeah, the adventure, that was a perspective looking down on the chip of the Sinclair that unfortunately someone had left the tap running, and it was slowly being submerged. And so you had a particular amount of time to find out how to stop it, and there was loads of puns in there. You know, like a hermit and a seal and and lots of other technical terms I turned into characters basically. And anyway, I spent three months trying to do this, and then my brother decided, I had to. We couldn't afford the time, and I had to get on and do another game. So that's. I can't remember what the next game after that was, but it was probably Johnny Barry and squash, knowing him.
Hello. You've obviously created lots of well-loved games. Did you play many video games back then?
No, only mine.
Never any arcade games before that?
Not
or anything?
really,
Nothing?
no.
Pinball? Anything like that?
No, not really. No.
Did you get your inspiration from any other games then, in that case?
I think Not in 3D was basically a 3D version of was it Worm or something like that? I can't remember what it was called now. But it was an idea of what would it be like in 3D, and it was also a bit like a tunnel where you're inside the tunnel, which was randomly moving around. This one, not in 3D, where you were on the outside being pursued by it, basically, or a number of them. Different ways of creating games, but trying to get faster and faster, just using colour instead in those cases.
It's a silly question, but something I've always wondered. Why was it called Trashman and not Bin Man? Why are the Americans...
Very technical question.
Next question,
actually, we were about to publish it with the name of Dustman, I think it was, and we discovered that someone had already, a few months before, had got Dustman out. So we thought, right, we've got to change the name, and that's why it came to Trashman. And the funny thing is, we then put that out, and we then discovered, or someone wrote to us and said, we've just publishing a book of computer, just the source code for computer games. And we've got one that's called Trashman. So, and they said, can we do anything, can we still call that, because it's at the virtually at the publishers now. And we said, look, go ahead, he said, so long as you make sure that it's not, they know it's not the source code for Trashman, we're happy. And what actually they put in the book was this is not the source code for Trashman, which is a brilliant, brilliant thing. So we had some advertising out of it, whereas the other one said no, they wouldn't let us, call it Trashman. So yeah.
We have another question at the back.
Yeah, you might be interested to hear there's been a recent surge in popularity in 3D Monster Maze within the sort of collecting community.
Mm-hmm.
So there's copies going on eBay and private sales groups for about £60 a pop. Do you have any spare copies? Dig them out and get them on eBay.
Well, I've told this story to a few people that when we sold the rights to Virgin Games, one of the conditions was that we destroy all copies that we had. And we had to photograph them. We actually had a whole box of 100 3D Monster Maze that we'd actually just got. And we ended up having to take photographs of it going into the incinerator. Yes, it hurts.
Yeah.
No, I'm astounded because we sold the rights to all the games thinking that was it, because the sales had dropped off. Okay, 3D Monster Maze was just still selling at low rates, 100 for 3 or 4 months or something like that, Don't quote me on that one because I didn't have the figures. Because I remember my brother turning around because I said that we sold about 100,000 3D Monster Maze to someone, and he said, "You're wrong. It was a hell of a lot more than that." And so I didn't know how
Okay,
much
final
we did.
question.
Hi there. I agree with Travel with Dustman doesn't sound the same as Travel with Trashman. How did you choose the destinations for Travel with Trashman? Because it got me into geography. The more money I got, the more I could travel to New Zealand and New Orleans.
Yeah.
And I love the humour in it with the Moscow. And quite apt now, if you bump into one of the guards, you get deported, which is probably a good thing. Just wondered how you chose the locations for the Travel with Trashman.
Something that was interesting. That's because I could think of something that was, you could actually do there and would be associated with that country. Like the bull ring in Spain and the sheep shearing and. Yes, I was told off about that.
You might not get away with that now.
No. Nor Wailing Wall. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we've got to leave it there. Thank you, everybody. Malcolm will be in the corner signing posters, etc. You can go and say hello to Malcolm, purchase a nice poster, even get a Northwest Computer Museum bookmark. But we know you've had some trials and tribulations to get here, but I'm certainly glad you did, and I'm sure everyone
still
else
alive.
is. Please, please join me in thanking Malcolm. How's that? Very good.
Sorry. No. Right, here are your fans. Yeah. Cute. I need a pen. I'll show you later. My car in frame. Yeah, why not? They should put it up on there. That sounds good then. Feel free to say hi. That's what should be buying one of these, so they're good. You want one of these? Yeah, I shall. I would love that. That game made me.
see now whether I'm right.
Yeah. This reminded me. Ah, oh, God. I've got one.